Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. My name is Katana Malinowski, and I am the host of Transformational Art with Katana, making the unmanageable manageable. Welcome. Today, I have with me my beautiful friend, Lisann Valentin, who is an actor, author, and amplifier. Welcome, Lisann.
Thank you. Thank you, Katana. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is such a blessing to have you here today, sharing this space with you while I'm so excited about the launch of my new book, Sacred
Called
Surrender. And
Sacred Surrender by what's the publishing company?
that is Mary Gooden,
The
Destiny Publishing. Yes.
Destiny Publishing. Yay! What's the title of your chapter?
My chapter is The Art of Transformation.
Now I know why I'm here. I love it.
Yes, all things transformational, people, places, and things, everything, all transformational. And I'm so glad to be sharing this energy with you today. It's wonderful. And we're going to build on that energy. So we are going to find out, who is Lisann as a person?
Well, I am not too serious. I love to have fun and enjoy life as much as possible. I like to consider myself as a warrior of peace, that I am the peace wherever I go, but with that warrior edge. Yeah, I love to silly dance. I love to let the child in me play, and I am not afraid of embarking on endless waves of transformation.
Oh, that's so amazing. So amazing. Yes. I've definitely over this past year stepped into wave after wave, avalanche after avalanche of opportunity to transform. And of course, that's what has brought me to this amazing space and getting to meet you, the amazing Lisann. I am so grateful for that and always will be. And so my next question for you is, what is it that makes you happy?
I would, the first thing is my family. They make me really happy. My mom and my sister, my partner. I can be myself, my absolute self. And then I noticed that the people around me that I draw to me foster that experience of just being exactly who you are, wild, crazy, free, all of it.
I like that. Wild, crazy, free. Yes. Mm-hmm. I have this image in my mind of the small lake and this rope swing and everybody just having a blast on a warm summer day, just going crazy in the water and just having an absolute blast.
That makes me so excited because, when I was little, we would go to Puerto Rico all the time. I mean, we still do, but since the pandemic, obviously slowed down a bit, just a bit. And when I was very little, all these sun showers would happen in Puerto Rico, right? So it's like hot beaming, and then it would just come raining down. And I was like, Mommy, I want to dance in the rain. And she's like, go dance in the rain. And I would run to the front yard barefoot and just start dancing in the rain. And the neighbors would look at us like, what are you doing? Why are you get inside? It's raining. But this was like so glorious. And my mom fostered that sort of wonder at what nature offered and making everything magical. Yeah.
That's awesome. A friend of mine just asked the other day, if there's a puddle, do you walk around it or do you jump in?
Jump in it.
Yes. Yes. A few people said it depends on the shoes. And I'm like, no, you just jump in, just go for it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh man.
Yeah. All of those things that we got to enjoy as we
Mhm.
were growing up, playing in the leaves, the fall leaves. Oh my goodness. I still love that, jump in. And I love the videos of dogs that they'll show have gone in the piles and all you see is a little movement and then here comes this dog popping out. I'm like, yes, one day I will get to do that again. And
Jump
take
into a
my
pile of
grand-
leaves.
yes, yes. And I want to do it with my granddaughters, because now I have that extra space that brings me even more joy. And I
Mm.
never thought that was possible. I love my children unconditionally beyond the universe. And then these amazing grandchildren came in and just took that to a whole nother level that I could have never imagined.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I hear. That's what my mom keeps hearing. She'll tell me about it. Like, okay.
Oh, so now we move on to the flip side of that. And
Mm.
it would be interesting to know what it is that makes you sad or angry.
Oh gosh, when people are silenced, and there's so many ways that happens, how we sometimes silence ourselves,
Mm,
that makes me sad and angry. And so just for a little bit of context, I'm a film and TV actor. I'm an author and an amplifier in that I help actors and empaths amplify their gifts in whatever way that takes shape. And sometimes what I'll encounter is this form of silence, silencing one's gifts, whether it's just to perform in front of the camera or it's to silence their intuition, silence their truth. I don't like literally I get really like upset about it because we come here with this beautiful voice, those of us that are lucky, right, to have the ability to vocalize. And then we willingly, through the way our lives take shape and take form, we willingly shut it down to please others, to conform, to fit in. And then those of us that are even luckier spend the rest of our lives unlocking this space.
mm.
So that way we can be free again to express how we feel, how we see the world, to shift energy around us with our voice, with our gifts, with our talents. So many ways that we silence ourselves. And so even as I talk about this, my hands get hot. That really frustrates me. But the good thing is that the people like you and other people that I've met, that we all work in our own way to help people free themselves, to unlock their gifts, you know?
Yes. Actually, I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you because yes, I was thinking about the fact that, we play small and we just had this conversation in another group and the ways that we do keep ourselves small and we don't show our voices and the different ways that we can bring our voices to the forefront.
Mm.
And I wanted to add that extra thank you because I've been given a second chance at my voice and I didn't realize that until just now.
Mm.
So I want to say that it was back it might have been 2012. I had to have vocal cord surgery because I had a polyp on I want to say it was the right vocal cord, and it was so big that it was actually blocking the other vocal cord and my airway. I could not breathe. My breathing levels were so low that they couldn't figure out what was going on. And then somebody found what they called a soft tissue mass.
Mm.
And I went to Stanford University Medical System and they went, "Oh, you need to get this looked at. And by the way, don't clear your throat." And if you know anything about that,
Mhm.
as soon as they said, "Don't clear your throat," I heard everybody in the waiting room doing just that.
Yeah.
And that's because that actually will make it grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I was struggling to breathe and I went to a specialist and he said, it's the largest mass I've ever seen that isn't cancerous. So, and I got to the point where I was just barely whispering. I could barely get a voice out. I was struggling, and it was hard to breathe, to get it out. And I already have asthma and COPD. So this was an even bigger struggle. They did get it removed successfully. My voice is different, and I've had to come to terms with that. It's lower, it's more grumbly. And in many ways, I didn't realize until just now the ways that I played small because of that. And I didn't take into consideration to see it as a gift that I got a second chance. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I hope anybody out there that's hearing this right now knows that, you know, one moment can be changed for the better. And so thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I get to ask you, getting back to when we were children and exploring and doing wonderful things that we don't get to really explore as adults. What is it that you wanted to grow up to be?
Wonder Woman.
That's
what I wanted to be. I mean, literally, like I remember I had like this little Wonder Woman underwear setup, like a t-shirt and bottoms, and I would wrap a red blanket around my mom had a small throw, and I would wrap it around. And I remember my poor grandmother at the time, she was trying to feed me ravioli, and I decided that this was the enemy and I was going to run. And I was like, I have to run. I was like, I would hide. And it was so dramatic. I mean, obviously I wanted to be an actor, but I was like, no, this is how Wonder Woman would respond to the ravioli attack. So yeah, that's what I wanted to be.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I absolutely love that. And, you know, you just brought up another memory. Like you, only mine was Batman.
Yeah.
And I used to tie the towel. So it was me, my cousin, and the boy down the street. We were all within that same age range. And I was like, you know, we need to put towels on and run up and down the street so our capes will fly. And, you know, and so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and then there's levels to that, right? Like, how do you show up as that hero in your own life? You know, and going back to what you have created and unleashed out into the world in terms of transformation. How do we transform as that hero? Through different chapters. You know, is it through careers? Is it through lifestyle changes? Is it through shifts in family and friends? How do we show up for ourselves as that hero as we grow and evolve as a person? You know? Yeah. And there's so many ways that we do that. So many ways.
You bring up a very good point, and it's something that I explore in my chapter in the Sacred Surrender book. And I think that, you know, of course, fear is what really ultimately holds us back. And it's when we can recognize that fear of stepping out and being ourselves and being accepted. And I know, you know, just taking that leap anyway and going for the unknown. I've always been that one when I was younger, to climb the tallest tree, to jump from the highest places. And eventually I did develop a fear of heights, and I still kept going. And, you know, it's a long story, not the nicest story, and that will unfold one day too. But I kept going. No matter what came up, I realized, you know, I kept going. And COVID really brought a lot of that out. Talk about changes. I lost everything. I lost my house. I lost my car. And I lost family and friends, not in death, but because I actually chose me. So I wasn't showing up the way they wanted me to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stepped out to be me, they stepped away. That's been a hard thing to embrace. But at the same time, I've learned that that's okay, because that's their thing. And I still had to be true to myself. And it's been through my experiences with everybody that I've met since I started doing this journey, including you, that has helped me step into that strength of showing up more and more. I mean, I ran for state senator of Nevada before COVID hit.
I know.
And I kept thinking to myself, why am I not stepping into this personal voice? But it was because that was personal in the collective and not personal in the intimate.
Yeah.
This is a scarier place.
Yeah. The more vulnerable we are, we're actually being of service to ourselves and to others. When we hold back and play down the middle, we're not of service to anyone other than the machine of sameness that at some point we're like drilled to want to be a part of. And it's like, F that. Why do we need to do that? You know what I mean? Life is so much more interesting when we're just who we are. And the thing that you're sharing, every time I want to show you, look at this. But because I haven't released the Reiki, like it's just it like, oh my gosh, let me release that. So I wanted to share this with you because when my first time getting published was similar to your story in terms of I was writing about how I've been blogging for years when I left the law to become an actor, and then a publishing company wanted stories of people who had read the book by Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love, and had changed their lives. And so I submitted my story. I mean, I'd been writing about it for the whole duration of this exploration of self. I decided, let me just write what they want and I'm going to share it. And if they want it, whatever. Which is to say, as I submitted it, like I felt this urge to submit. And then I had immediate doubt they're not going to pick this story. And then within seconds, what I like to call the roar of unconditional love, that roar of God in me was like, yes, they will. And it was so strong. And the fact that I could hear it was because I'd been on a transformation journey up until this point, meditating every day, like, where I'd let it go. I'd learned that when I was a teenager and I'd let it go all these years. And I was able to get to that place where I was listening. So they ended up picking my story. I worked with their editor and it got published in a multi-author book called Eat, Pray, Love Made Me Do It. That became a New York Times bestseller. And the scary part of that is that I had to be vulnerable at a bigger scale. And so I had to share like how challenging it was to live a very linear life and to break away from that.
Yeah.
To hold on to the responsibility of being the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter and all the weight that I decided I was supposed to hold. And then say, you know what? I'm not holding this anymore. I'm choosing me. And I can show up better for everyone around me when I choose me first. And now when you're honest and you don't play down the middle, people are going to have feelings about that. Once your story's out into the world, like yours is about to become an international bestseller, people are going to have feelings about it. Do you know what I mean? But that's none of your business anymore. You crafted your story and you set it free. Let it go where it will. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. So
I've got tears in my eyes. I'm so happy. And this connection is just amazing because my hands are actually getting hotter. So you're sharing some, you're releasing it. I'm getting it. Shared energy. I love it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I've been seeing one of the things that I've experienced firsthand now is seeing how our healing heals the generational imprint that happens over time. And I mean, I just learned about that within the last 6 months, how generational pains and traumas transfer
Yeah.
down generations, and how when we heal, we're actually healing those DNA imprints.
Yeah.
And I got to see it firsthand, and I out of respect for the person, I won't share how I know that, but it's familial. And
Mhm.
there's now a new level of healing that's taking place. And I started to cry again because I was like, wow, this is just incredible. So, like you said, once we step into that and we let it go, the transformations are not only ours, it's a ripple effect to everyone
Yeah.
around us. And
Yeah.
that obligation we have once we discover that we have that gift to help others light their lights and find their purposes and light themselves up and explore with their voices in all the different ways that are available to them. It's incredible.
You know, it's funny because I remember when I come from 5 generations of intuitive healers. And as the 5th generation, I would say, when I got the call as a shaman, it was so out of this world and so into the woo that I was like, what did I say yes to? What is this? And like the minute I asked, people showed up to help guide me and other shamans. Like boom, boom, boom. I can name like 7 people right now. You know, whether they label themselves as a shaman or not, they were very powerful healers and they showed up to help me and to help me understand what was going on and to validate my experiences, because I was like, sign me up to freaking go to Bellevue because something is happening, you know? But it gave me context to things I had repressed my entire life. This gift that you said that we feel like compelled to share with others. So many people have it and they don't feel compelled to share it. They feel compelled to hide it, to stifle it down. And sometimes it's because they don't know what to do with it, or it's too much, or makes them feel too much, too big, too different, or whatever. And so that's why like I feel very called to show up for empaths and show them how to feel more empowered in their gifts and to understand that they're alchemists of energy, not just sponges of energy. Because when I learned how to do that, I could show up better in the world.
Right.
But I also want to rewind that it's not like they have to learn anything other than how to show up better for themselves. And this is across the board. The only thing we're really compelled to do is to show up as ourselves with that infinite love within us. And that's how transformation happens for ourselves and for others, generationally, and for the people around us. That's how we become alchemists for each other. But if we're in a space where we hide, we dim our light, we serve no one. But again, you don't have to quit your job and do this. You know, you can just be who you are and be this, and everything around you changes. So it just depends on how you feel called to show up once you honor your gifts of who you are. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And I have a client that I'm working with that I was just exploring that with this morning. So that's interesting that you would bring that up, because they were feeling like, okay, so I need to take that leap off and go for a free fall and not do this anymore. And I was more about bringing them back into, okay, I get you're happy and you know, you're excited and you're lit up, and you can do all of this.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be either or. It can be everything, and it's just going to be the icing on the cake. And I just pictured somebody's post the other day of their fancy chocolate cake with their first attempt at chocolate ganache. Oh, yes, you know. And
but that's the thing, like there's not either or. I don't know where like this programming of like it can only be one thing. No, we're multi-dimensional beings. We can show up that way in this earth however we want to show up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's something that I heard earlier. I remember when I because I've been coaching other actors throughout this time as well. And then it sort of lend itself to more of the woo space. And that's when I was like, oh, maybe I should expand to help empathic people. But there was a time when I first got published, someone said, you can't be, you have to pick one. You're going to be a lawyer, an actor, a writer. What are you going to be? How about I just already am all these things and you're going to have to deal. That's not my problem. It comes from their limiting a belief of like enoughness, right? They couldn't do it maybe, or maybe it reflects something that they wanted or multiple things that they wanted, they thought were impossible. And I'm shining a light on that. And it's not my job to interfere with their journey, but my light is shining for them to see for a reason, and they can choose. They can choose to stay where they are. They can choose to step into what they want to become. But that discernment of like, do I engage in this altercation of like, I can't do this? Or do I just internally say, well, watch me? Like, not my problem. But not to be callous, right? Because I know that not everybody's ready to step out the way they want to. They have to come to that space on their own. They have to. It's up to them. It's not up to me to say, oh, you can do all these things, so do it now. No, it's like, what you're capable of doing. I can hold your hand if you want, or you can stay there. That's okay. It's all okay.
Yes. And that is incredible, because you just touched on something that I had that experience. So when and it plays out over and over if we really open our eyes and we step back and we're awake to what's happening around us, or when we wake up, because I think everybody's there. They just, get some help and guidance, being able to see it, because sometimes it's too painful to see what's really going on around. And I get that space. And I remember when I had graduated with my master's degree in legal studies, and I was considering law school, which I did do for a little bit. And they asked me, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And they go, no, you have to pick one. And I said, why? And they said, because you can't do all of those. And I remember getting angry. And I said, well, don't tell me what I can't do.
Right. Yeah.
I can do it, and I will do it. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. And to put it in Willy Wonka quote, good day to you, sir.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah. Kindest regards. Peace out.
It is okay to be in whatever space you want to be in. And it kind of brings me back to a conversation I had, and this is where I will revisit a little bit of running for senator. It is okay to be the janitor. It is okay to be the person that sells hamburgers. It is okay to be the maid. It doesn't matter what you choose to do. As long as you're happy and it's getting you your needs met within legal limits.
Right. Yeah.
Giving my disclaimer here. As long as you're not hurting other people and it's within legal limits, but as long as it's something that's, good to you and good for you, all of these are to me equal. So when I look at the people that'll say, oh, well, that's beneath you. So maybe some people look, and I've had people say this, well, writing a book is for wealthy people. And I'd look at them and go, why? It's like, because it's not something you can support yourself with. I'm a professional artist. Now, I understand the starving artist thing. I truly do. And I'm still an artist. And I get to use my art in what I do, helping people with my transformational art process. So I guess it just comes back to, it's all okay.
Yeah, there's this illusion about art that I believe was shattered during the pandemic, but it could just be my perspective. And so people turned to art and artists when the world was getting really heavy and really effed up. We were scared, we were alone, and we turned to art of different forms, whether we're reading, whether we're painting, whether we're watching TV, listening to the radio, whatever it is, because that helped us release, tap into the fun, that fullness of life within ourselves. The artists are the ones that showed up with their gifts and they shared them with the world, and the world responded. So I love artists because I'm one of them.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I know the perpetual, that whole idea that I'm going to call it like a meme of the starving artist, but there's no meme of the professional artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ones who do this for a living. And people would ask me, what do you do? And I was like, I'm an actor. Oh, so what else do you do? I mean, I have lots of businesses, but I'm a professional actor. Like they would want to know, like if I was waitressing or if I was doing something to support my acting. I was like, yeah, acting supports my acting. I'm not sure what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
So it just blows people's mind, because at some point there was like, no, dismissing acting, dismissing the arts in general. And it's like, but why? What makes you so uncomfortable about somebody making an honest living, doing what they love? Because really that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can love freaking accounting. No one's going to question that that's what you're doing for a living. Do you know what I mean? But like, you're like, hi, I'm on film and television and I do voiceovers. And they're like, and what else do you do? I was like, I have several businesses that have nothing to do with me having to do service industry, because I would suck at that. I would be really bad at serving anybody food. I would be fired. Okay. So like, yeah, I have the children's book series I'm creating with my sister. I coach other artists and I coach empaths. Like I do this because I love it, not to sustain my art, but to further the art in me.
Yeah.
Which for me is just an ultimate expression of the divine, of unconditional love. We show up as artists every day. Some of them look like moms and dads at home making a meal for their family. Tell me there isn't art in that. Some of them show up as the people that come and help you build and create the house of your dreams. The carpenters, the plasterers, the tile workers, like when they love what they do, you see that craftsmanship all over the house. And that's not art. Is that not? Do you question their drive to do what they do? Girl, I don't know. I'm going on a whole other thing that I did not expect.
No, you're right with me in that thought pattern.
Right.
Because that's something that I've had experiences with. And I use multiple modalities of art. And for instance, I'm a national and international fine art photographer, award-winning.
Beautiful.
People look at me and they go, you can't be a fine artist and a photographer.
What?
I'm just looking at them going, okay, well, 7.5 years of college and, all of the education I've got going behind this would suggest otherwise, and those student loans that are still with me today would suggest otherwise. But until I got in that space, I did not realize the vastness of the arts. So I also have a minor in journalism. I have an advertising sequence. And I use that in conjunction with the visual arts in what I do. So my transformational art process includes all of these different ways of using arts. There's singing, there's music. I play 7 different instruments. I love acting, but I like to be that one that makes you laugh whenever it was time to do any kind of school play or anything. Like I'd be the gesture that came running across the stage and do pratfalls and things of that funny nature. So I was always the one or narrating. And like you were saying, these are all arts. The architect that creates the design of the house. Oh my goodness. We have some extremely famous architecture pieces. I mean, the Guggenheim Museum is one of my favorites, and it just goes on. There's so many, and you're right. If somebody is allowed to thrive and be passionate about their craft, about their art, it shows through in everything they do. I, can even go as far as to say it's like an Apple computer versus an IBM computer. Apple crafts with creativity and art. Whereas, and I know somebody somewhere is gonna say something to me about this, but to me, IBM and HP are just like, okay, here, mass produce a product. They don't take that same kind of care in each and every product. I mean, my experience with Apple, even in getting help with a situation I was stuck in, turned out it was a different app, but just that interaction with their support. Were these people going, woohoo, you have a podcast, tell me what it is, we love you people, I never got kind of love from HP. I'm just, I know somebody out there is gonna but I'm just saying, it is the love and the
HP's gonna want to sponsor your podcast. Like
so, yes, I'm completely on that same channel with you in that same process, the thought process, that to honor as a stay-at-home mom of 31 years. And I do suffer the consequences of that, which unfortunately there are very real consequences, having not worked for 31 years. So no matter how many college degrees I earned, it didn't matter to the workforce. As a matter of fact, I went from being completely underqualified to being completely overqualified with no experience. So there's no appreciation for the different art and craft that goes into each and everything, which I think we're in a shift for. I think, as you mentioned, there's a big shift in what we do in helping people and having that recognition. I think that's what the Great Resignation is about, listening to those stories. And it's about, hey, there's a human being here. When you need to honor the fact that we're humans with needs that need to be nurtured.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when people see there's a different way, they're like, well, they can't unsee that. They're like, wait, there's another way to live? Oh no, I'm not settling for this shit anymore. Sorry to just start cursing on you. I tried not to curse, but okay, well, it came through.
It came through.
But I will say, I wasn't always like, as much as the art wanted to bubble out of me, my mental state was like, oh, there's no value in that. That's not a job. That's not a career. I remember how many people I disappointed with that. Like my father was an artist. My mom loves to design, but they had very linear careers. And when I was in art class in high school, my art professor was like, aren't you going to apply to FIT, which is the Fashion Institute of Technology, where you had to put in your art portfolio to get in? And I was like, no, why would I do that? She's like, don't you want to pursue the arts? I was like, that's not a job. She was the art teacher. And I was like, that's not a job. Like, I was so like blinders on. Then in college, I was studying, I was an English major. My journalism professor was like, you're going to pursue this, right? Like, you're going to pursue journalism. I was like, why? What kind of job is that? Just writing all the time? That's not a job. Literally, I would tell people those are obviously jobs, but I was like, no, I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to law school is what I'm going to do. It took me a long time to say like the arts were calling me and I was shutting down the arts. So I feel for people that don't see it, but like you said, they're like just at the precipice of just like breaking through all of that and waking up. And if we can just hold that space for them to be like, hey, when you're ready, I'm here. That's literally all we have to do to help them take that one step forward,
Yes. And a perfect segue into my next question, which is, what is it that got you on the path you're on today?
Honoring the voice of God within me that was nudging me forward, always nudging me forward. And so, I mean, I've been on such a journey and I've written about leaving the law to pursue acting. And then through acting, through writing, listening to that voice even stronger, and just honoring the call every time it came. So like I wrote another book called The Everyday Actor during the pandemic, because I saw these actors for the first time having to put themselves on tape and they had no idea how to do it. And I would see these auditions going up and I was like, who can they go to for support, and can they afford coaching? Maybe not. Maybe there has to be a book. So I had that idea. And then I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to keep writing the fiction story that I've been writing. And God was like, but you're supposed to write this other book. And I was like, I don't want to write that book, God. I'm writing this book. Okay. And I was like, it's about magic and I'm writing this. And it was like, it's time to write this other one. I had to put the fiction aside and I go, okay, then if you want me to write this, you better show up because I'm just going to stay in front of the computer. Go. Like, I was like, I'm not doing it. You do it. And yeah, God did it. So I had to figure out, like, I had been learning about self-publishing for a while. And then once the pandemic hit and I was called to write this book very quickly, boom, I wrote it. I did all the things I had to do, which was a lot. And then I put it out there, and actually it was of service to actors who needed to learn how to refine their performance in front of this little square where they'd never had that sort of training before, or they didn't know that there's a better way to behave in front of the lens that will help them actually book the roles when they came. Also, in doing that, I was reminding myself of my why. Why do I show up in this way? Yeah. Me showing up as an actor, is it just to tell this story? No. It's like, no, mi amor, this is so much more than just you telling this story. When you are walking in this world as a healer, you just activate healing in other people. And so anytime I'm on set, because I was on set a couple of times during the pandemic, thank God. And I remember standing there and all these lights are on me and I'm looking around and I was like, I heard God say, you don't have to do anything more. You don't want to coach. You don't want to do energy work as a shaman. You don't have to. You standing here, you're doing it already. People that pass by you, the costume, everyone, they're feeling, just like you were talking about, you were getting it. They're feeling it. You're changing them and they're changing you. This is how this world works. And I stood there and I just felt, okay, I received this. I accept this. This is yes, yes. And so now when I show up, like, I'm so happy to book roles. I love it. They don't define me. I just get to play. I just get to be that kid that jumps in the puddle and see where the water splashes. Like, did you get it? You know what I mean? Like, and that can be, and life can be that. Success can be that. I hope that answers your question, because I feel like you ask a question and then I go around the world to answer.
It was absolutely spot on, and it just resonates. So it's really beautiful. These last 2 years, you know, have had their bad. Cannot dismiss that. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, there's been some really beautiful things that have come through and have transformed so many of us. I learned 3 days ago, 54 million women left the workforce, 90% permanently. That's global market. They said it's going to have one of the most intense impacts in the global economy, because when women are in those spaces that they were in, productivity was up 86% in each one of those businesses. Those women were in management or higher.
Yeah.
So that's a profound effect. That's that sharing of energy that we were just talking about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was just relating to my own transformations that just keep happening. And that download you were talking about, those nudges, because I had been receiving them for a long time, didn't understand them necessarily. I knew I was having premonition, downloads or whatever, now I understand them as downloads.
Yeah.
And then they became an avalanche falling all over the place. And I started to have people tell me who to talk to, what way to talk to them, that I didn't know what I was doing, that I didn't know how to use my voice, and it
Oh,
started coming at me. And
oh, that's different. Oh, I was like, oh, you're getting guidance. Oh, you're getting resistance. Okay,
no,
got it.
I did get good downloads,
Mm-hmm.
but on the external world, I was getting a different message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those people that were showing up with their doubts and their disappointments and whatever their baggage was, they were
Mm-hmm.
bringing it at me tenfold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And here I was, okay, now it's time for me to use my own tools that I'm teaching people to use, because I help them ultimately make the unmanageable manageable. And I almost stepped out.
Hmm.
I almost gave in to all of those negative voices.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the download.
Mm.
Like you were talking about with the book. You made me think
Yeah.
of it, well, I want to do
Yeah.
this one. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
And I had that like image of the face that leaned in and went, you know who you are. Only it was actually, what the fuck you do, how to fucking do it, and it fucking works. Now get up and go write this. And I did. I got up to the bathroom and I went from there almost for an hour and wrote
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the whole program out in detail, which was the first time I'd actually done that in that detail. And I
And
was
that's how it happens.
this
It's
is insane.
amazing.
And it's very freeing and very empowering. And at that moment I realized, no, I know what I'm doing. I have a voice. I've used it before. I know what I'm doing. I've talked to thousands of people. I can do this.
Yeah.
And I know what I do works. I've helped other people. I've helped myself. I know this works. And as soon as I stepped into that power and said yes to the podcast, everything just came in like a flood.
Mm-hmm.
So I do honor what you were saying, that, we do get those nudges. We do get the downloads. And sometimes just being in that space and holding that space. And I love the playfulness. As you were saying, you get to play and do these things. And I think we need to bring more playfulness into life as adults,
Yeah.
because I think that brings people's stress levels down. And I
Yeah.
know art is a big part of that. All of the arts. Singing, hello, how many
Yeah.
people don't sing in their car,
I
or the
know. I
theater,
know.
and they're
Yeah.
going, they are performing for the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have to, there's so much we could talk about in terms of that, but like, seriously. Yeah. And like, but the fun part, so when I decided to create a program for empaths, it wasn't that I was like, I want to make a program for empaths. It was not that. It was like, you're going to make a program for empaths. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And it was the same thing. I was like, yeah, you can. It's, all the tools that you use, just share them. And I kept going like, okay, how do I do this? How? And the answer was always the same. Do it your way. Do it your way. Make it unique to you. And I would resist it. I was like, I need the formula. Has to be a certain way. No. God kept saying, the divine source and every emanation of love was like, it's already in you. Do it. And so we go through cycles of this, right? It's not like we're ever complete. I feel like when we're complete, we're done. Hey, we go. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're no longer on this earth plane, but like through this process, I had to remember a lot of things, a lot of times where I didn't feel empowered as an empath. And be open to that remembrance, so that way I could show up better in creating what I felt would be needed. And now there's a sense of play. Listen, I can do serious meditations and go into deep chant, and that's all good. But like, I like to laugh and play and make the heaviness feel light. Like, the type of empath I am is a heyoka. And part of who they are is to mirror behavior and to make jokes and to be funny. And so I had to come to terms with like letting go of this idea of that it has to be perfect. It's not academia. Listen, someone wants science, don't come to me. That we're not doing science. We're doing deep intuition and love and coming from the space that feels practical and super woo. And that's how I show up. And so the more I let myself be both rational and woo, the more I can implement that with how I help empaths. Do you know what I mean? And I think it feels lighter, right? When we can play, it feels so much lighter.
Yes. I'll share just a quick snippet of what someone said to me that I'm working with, one of my clients. And she says, you make this fun and easy.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to feel.
Yes.
Oh my God. I remember I was giving all this stuff away for free before I created the program.
Right.
And this woman was like, I don't know how to release this stuff. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I walked her through something that took 30 seconds. She goes, that's it? I don't have to do anything else. I was like, babe, if you have to do more than this bullshit, like literally it's so easy. Why do you think, oh, I need to ground, meaning I need to do an hour and a half meditation? I mean, if you think that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. I'm telling you, you could do it in 3-5 minutes. Like, we got things to do. Let's get grounded now. Do you know what I mean? So that's my approach.
I love it. No, I'm, and that's the thing. It's one thing to have a basis for what we do. And then we tailor it to each person. And it's not going to look the same to every single person. Some people, I find some people just want to talk.
Yeah. And to be heard.
To be understood, to be seen, to be heard, and to, to have somebody go, you know what? You're perfect just the way you are. And that's has its value.
But just be mindful because you are the container that can hold it.
Yeah.
Not everybody can hold. To be that container and to hold that energy coming at you, you need to be strong in yourself. So Katana, you are able to be that container, and that's why they can come to you and let it all out and process externally by you just holding the container. It's not like you're sitting back going, yeah, let me know. Like, you're not doing that. You're like, you're in it with them. Yes. You're helping alchemize this energy so they can have clarity.
Yes.
Like, and maybe you don't use that language. That's okay. But the strength of yourself is what helps people show up better for themselves because of who you are.
Thank you for bringing that up. That, yes. And exactly. That's what we're all doing is holding that space and being that vessel of sacred, safe space for people and helping to light them up.
Yeah.
Helping to light them up. I have this image that I experienced yesterday for the new moon. I went through a ceremony. Ooh. And I have this image that is sitting here like your book. It's in here going, I need to be over there on that, watercolor paper right now. I want to go there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. It's going to come out. But it's this beautiful image of a person receiving from the universe and then giving back.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my gosh. So I'm so excited that we are on this conversation, and I see that we're actually coming up on a little bit over our time. So I want to be respectful of your time. And that brings me into having you explain to the audience exactly what you do and how they can reach out and connect with you.
Okay, so when I'm not acting or writing, I am an intuitive coach for on-camera talent and for the empathic healers, leaders, and creatives of the world. And so I do shamanic work, which is just energy work. And I help people, I hold that container and I help them transmute energy, activating their natural gifts within them, as long as they're open and available to do that. And I also do that in a more niche specialty for empaths, for people who certainly know that they are empaths, that they really know they have this intuition and they want to learn how to wield their beautiful gift. I am offering a program, which is like a 3-month container where they can work through it on their own and they can get support in a group setting once a month for those 3 months. And that's called the Empowered Empath Masterclass. And that can be found at thetempleorar.com, thetempleorar.com.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
And so this leads me into our final question that I ask all of my guests.
Okay.
And I love that response. Everybody has it too. What is the one thing you would tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. Keep going. Yeah, that's what I would say.
That's awesome.
My 18-year-old self was super empowered. I'll tell you.
Wow.
She really was. She didn't know what the hell she was doing, but she was doing everything. Yeah, she was involved in everything in student government. She would want to be the president of every club. She was just like super invested in like becoming the leader she was eventually going to be. I love her so much, and she'd be so excited if she saw me now. So that's what I would say. You're on the right track. Keep going.
That is incredibly beautiful. That imagery of being able to see, because we can do that.
Yeah.
We have that power.
Yeah.
See our future
Yeah.
our future selves and say, come along. You did it. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Lisann, thank you so much for being here with me today. It has been such an honor to share not only this space with you, but to share the excitement of the Sacred Surrender publishing launch. And I'm almost speechless at this particular moment because I'm just up in cloud nine. So, but thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me, especially on this day of celebration of you sharing your story and your voice on a huge scale so that it becomes an international bestseller and that people all around the globe get to read your words and feel the resonance of that story in their own lives.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Transformational Art with Katana. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and share the link to this podcast with your family and friends. To connect with me personally, please send an email to transformationalartwithkatana@gmail.com. Have a beautiful day.